what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna break elements out into its own thing, since these are all so crazy. And even beyond that, I'm gonna break these into their own things as well. So let's go out, and let's say that we have these things here. Let's get rid of this now. These things here make up our content types. So this is gonna be our content types. And then now we need elements, right? So we need something that expresses that these are elements. Okay, so we have our content types. Now we have different elements within these content types that I think we need to pull out. So before we even get into that though, I noticed that on the person social thing, we need to know what this is, right? So these are the types. So maybe one of the fields is called type, right? So you choose which one you want. And we don't need to like label these right here. We can do that in the CMS. There's going to be a type field, and then there's probably going to be a link field. So these are going to be how you create social badges. These to me are elements, but not in that sense though. They're not elements in the sense of the elements that we have here. And I kind of want to blow all of these out though. I kind of want to break all of these out. So I want image here, but I don't want this here. So let's actually take a step back. Let's create a new one of these called elements. So elements. I don't know why I don't use the caps lock more often. I find myself trying to hold shift and hit like all the buttons I need to hit. It's insane. So all right, so we got elements. Let's actually steal this guy and let's condense it so that it's just our elements, and then that way our content type, so we'll have a bunch of smaller stickies here, but that'll also make these a little smaller too. So like for example, one of them that we know we need right off the bat is media, right? And this is media here, right? Which media is gonna be a reference to even more elements. So there's a media element, and a media element has a title, a description. It has an array of media, right? Which has an image, right? So even right off the bat, even more of these. Let's go even farther in, right? So I'm gonna just come out of here a bit, and I'm gonna start at. I'm not gonna start with media. I'm gonna start at our innermost element that we have so far, which I think is image and social. These are our two innermost elements right now. So let's start with those. Let's start with image, and then we know what's in image, right? It's just those things. So actually what we can do is just do this. There we go. So now we have our image. Let's go ahead and pull this back a bit. Yeah, and there we go. All right, so now we have our image, and then now let's do our social. So, and we'll make this really small, as tight as it needs to be, right? That. Oh, not again. Get my name out of there. What are you doing? Okay, hopefully that doesn't keep happening. So that's our image, and then we'll do social. Okay, social, I think it was just link. Well, no, it's type and link. All right, we can that as tight as we can get it. Okay. Let's try to keep it that. All right, and then after social, we now can move on to the elements that we find in our here in our story elements, which the first one that we have, the innermost, is a video. Already done image, right? So the first one is a video. Okay. We have video file transcript. Just realized that this is not how organizing it. Alright. And then after that we have the text block. That yeah, so we got 6 in total, so let's go ahead and do text block. Canva, you're starting to PMO. All right. This is gonna be an array of images, right? So that's our what is that? The gallery. Gallery, which is just a basically has an images, right? Which we've already done, so we don't need to do that again. All right. So I'll say array of image refs. Yep, because we'll just reference this. It's fine. And then a CTA is its own thing, so let's go ahead and scope that out. All right. And then we'll be ready right after this to start actually diving in. Description, link text, and I'm not gonna do. I know it's probably possible to look at link as its own element, but I don't want to do that. Not yet. I may do that eventually. Which reminds me, I need to do this, right? Which is gonna be link text and URL. But some of these things are, I don't want to get too granular. You know what I mean? I don't want to get so granular that it doesn't even make sense to keep going, right? So, all right. So for media, which is, this is just the field. The media is a, let's call this an element type. Okay. So maybe that's the field name, right? So element type is the field name, right? So one of the options in that dropdown is going to be obviously media. So that's the breakdown for media. So what we can do, actually, that is an element now. So let's leave this like this. But I do want to get rid of this stuff just because it's super long. So yeah, there's that. That's fine. Okay, and then a text block. And a gallery. We'll just say an array of images. We no longer need to call these out. And then that. So that shortens that up quite a bit. Now that's going to be image social. Okay. And once again, they are down with my name. I wonder, can I just select all these? Yeah, I love it. I can't lie, this is probably one of the best editing piece of editing software I've ever used in my life. And I used to be really big in Adobe. Like, I used to be really into it and got really good at it, understand all the bells and whistles, and that still doesn't come close to how much I like Canva. It is a paid service, but I feel like it's definitely been worth it. I've had it for a few years now. It was actually one of the first of those online software as a service things I decided to pay for. I used to be really adamant about not paying for software as a service because I was like, you can just get the software, you know, at home, like on your regular machine. You don't have to use the web version of it. But yeah, they have proven that that's not true anymore. All right, so we got some elements, we got some content types. I believe we are ready to get started with our site. I'm gonna move this over just so it's a little more pleasant on the eyes. Looks like there's some issues with alignment here as well. Let's make sure this is lined up. There we go. All right, so now we have our content types and our elements. Now, normally I would say this is the part where you, instead of diving right into your code and starting to do things, I would say wireframe out a site. Even if it's just like a very, very, very bare bones site, wireframe it out. However, for us, we have two things that are making me lean towards not doing that, right? So the first thing we have making me lean towards not doing that wireframe is the fact that we're going to be creating a dummy website, right? It's not a real website. So we don't have anything writing on the fact that we have a crappy design. There's that. Another reason, though, is that we're going to be using tools like NextJS and Sanity UI that have like these really cool baked-in design concepts, like component concepts already in place. So it's going to be things like Tailwind CSS, I imagine. Things like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Bootstrap back in the day when it was like all the rave, but there are certain tools out there that exist today that make it extremely simple to build Oh, actually, hate to say this, but a template that looks even better than, even more modern than what's here on GameSpot. So I think that's what we're gonna do.